I always pictured I would be one of the greatest. Become every sense of the word and stun on those who hate it. Something that I was given, my parents that couldn't take it. Resilience to every stone that was cast, I demonstrated. Every stone I put in bracelets. Beauty underrated.
Welcome to the Rob and Rod Full Life Podcast. I'm Roger McLean with my co-host Robert Bruin. Rob, what's going on?
What's going on, brother? How you doing? Just glad to be around this Black excellence right now. We got a good one in the building today, Mitch Brown.
That's right. WACH Fox Sports Director Mitch Brown. We want to thank you for being on the show. How's everything with you and the family?
Man, I appreciate you guys, first of all, for having me. Honored to be the first guest on For Life. And I'm excited to be here, man. Excited to be, breathing, living right now and healthy. I can't take those things for granted right now. A lot of people have lost their lives and loved ones out there. So condolences and thoughts are with them, and prayers as well during this trying time. But, as far as my family, they're doing well. They're staying safe, staying isolated. And just staying out the way. They're all up in Northern Virginia, and most of my family's in Northern Virginia in the 804 too. So everybody just staying out the way and waiting until we can convene at a big cookout once again. It's summertime, man. We're hurting.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it safe, man. So other than that, man, I'm doing well.
That's good, man. We just want to give you a quick toast for you being the first guest on the show, to all the success that you have had. We don't wish you more success, especially what's going on in this world, man. Appreciate you for real.
I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna get my toast in tonight once I get off the clock. Best believe.
Before we get into it, Mitch, just tell us, really how the climate is of the station right now. Like, what exactly are you guys going through, and how are you being impacted directly?
Man, it's kind of a skeleton crew right now. Obviously, just had the holiday, so it's really empty. People taking time off right now. But when everything kind of popped off in March, we were getting ready for the NCAA tournament, women's tournament. South Carolina women's Gamecocks, 30 games in a row they had won. They had just swept through the SEC championship. We're expecting the first and second round of the NCAA tournament to be less than a mile from us here in downtown Columbia.
That was crazy.
Exactly.
I'm in North Carolina too. I went down to the ACC tournament. I was in Greensboro.
Yeah.
That was crazy too.
And you saw during the tournaments, they're trying to finish these tournaments. They couldn't finish them. They got wiped out. And we were going to send somebody to the SEC tournament for the men in Nashville. They couldn't get that in. The Gamecocks couldn't get on the field. So once that all started popping off, everything started to really just get condensed. We condensed the staff here that's in studio. Everybody's, a lot of people are working from home. A lot of people are, coming in some days, working from home some days. For me, I've been here every day because it's just easier for us to access, the archives and the footage that we need from here. But it's been a pretty empty station, and we've been making sure that we, keep everybody kind of safe and just take care of one another here during this time.
Mitch, graduation is a big deal. Graduated from high school or college. I recently graduated from Hampton University. Rob's at Syracuse. We know that you graduated from Old Dominion University in 2015. In one word, describe your time at ODU and just elaborate on that for us.
Everything. I'd use the word everything because I got everything that I wanted to do in college just about done. Maybe one or two things on the bucket list not done, but I was able to go to a school. And my story really is a story of, a blessing being delayed, not denied. I wanted to go to George Mason. That was my dream school. I was from Northern Virginia.
Wow.
It was about 25 minutes from home. I loved the basketball team. We're coming off, 2006 Final Four, so they had some good momentum going. When it took the tour, I was like, man, this is perfect for me. I only applied to two schools, George Mason and Old Dominion. I got into Old Dominion, didn't get into George Mason. And you know what? At that moment, when I went down and took a visit to Old Dominion, I was like, I really never immersed myself or experienced the 757. So I go down there to, Norfolk, and I'm like, okay, this campus is all right. I'm at orientation. I'm like, okay. The scenery is nice. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm good. I'm content with going here. It's 3 hours from home in Northern Virginia, but you know what, it's far enough away, but it's close enough so that I can still be, you know, close to my family. We're all really close. So, like I said, I go down there. I get involved in the radio broadcast, radio station at the school, get involved with the student newspaper. Then eventually they have a TV news class. Man, I was able to accomplish everything I wanted to do with internships in the area, was able to create lifelong friends. And then I was able to have the time of my life. We all know the best 4 years of your life.
Absolutely.
So I got all those things done, man. ODU has given me so much, and they continue to show love. And I continue to just, you know, pour my love into ODU as well.
Speaking of everything, you mentioned the newsroom. You did the newspaper. You did play-by-play commentating, color commentating, the radio.
Mitch done. That's the question.
How are you able to juggle all of that?
Well, man, you know what? It was tough at times because there was one internship that I remember vividly that I knew if I could do that, I could do anything. It was a morning radio station, radio show job. So I would do that like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from like 3:30 a.m. to like 8:30 a.m. So it was unpaid too. But I knew that I had to sacrifice a lot to get to where I wanted. My resume needed to be stacked. And so really, I was able to juggle that because I just had that goal in my mind. It was a lot, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be stopped to get to this goal. When I get out of school, I want to be ready to go. Ultimately, I wasn't ready. I still had work to do and polish myself off, but I was in a position to get a job and get my foot in the door because I sacrificed those thirsty Thursdays. I sacrificed those Friday nights, man. And I was doing my internship for high school football and stuff like that. I sacrificed a lot, man. And you know what? I'm reaping the benefits now of that because I'm able to, you know, take trips and have those nights and have those experiences that I wanted in college that I didn't used to get because I was either working or interning.
Definitely.
While you were at Old Dominion, you had to not while you were at Old Dominion, you got a chance to host a panel with Jay Harris. You had a good conversation with him amongst many.
Missed that one.
Yeah, I know. Rob was actually supposed to go there. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. How was that experience? You know, was that your first time meeting Jay? And how was the conversation really before you even guys got on stage?
That wasn't my first time meeting Jay. I met Jay my freshman year, actually, at ODU. I snuck into
Wow.
He's been coming back. And you talk about supporting. He's been coming back since forever. I mean, so 2011, there is a student-athlete forum that he's giving them a message and talking to them and answering questions. So I sneak in there somehow.
Wow.
And in there, I'm just listening to him. And so I meet him there. And then the next day at Hampton, they had ESPN career symposium type thing. So they had a panel there as well. I was able to meet him. I was a freshman, didn't have any experience or anything. I just told him I wanted to be on, TV and be in media. And, throughout the years, we would connect and see each other a little bit more. I saw him at my senior year of college. And when I graduated, I ended up going to my first NABJ conference. And that's when it really kicked off. I told him, hey, I just graduated from Old Dominion. You already know what it is, Monarchs, so what up? So we're chopping it up. He sees my reel out of college. And it was trash. And he kept it real, man. Like, it was trash. It was trash. It was garbage, man. I mean,
Gotta be honest.
I looked so young. I looked so raw. And then I had speech problems, too, with articulation and enunciating, like, my T's and S's. So long story less long, I went and got that stuff fixed out. And, me and Jay have kept in touch, throughout the years. He's seen me kind of grow into my roles. And, he's just a good guy to, bounce some stuff off because he's going to keep it real with you all the time. And it's just really good to have someone that went to your school, been in your shoes and been through this journey. See them at the highest level.
Yeah, definitely.
You said something real key right there. You were talking about your speech. And we, all three of us, know how important it is to articulate your words when you're on air. What did you really struggle with in terms of your speech?
It was anything with S's in it, I would shy away. I wasn't trying to do that. Anything with T's or G's on it, it was tough for me. So I had a voice coach when I was a photographer I had a voice coach, man, and I would go up, 40 minutes up the road up I-64, and her name was Louise, and she would just, work with me, do these weird things. She'd tell me to get on the ground, on the floor, and do these different breathing exercises and do these different. It worked, man.
That's a workout.
Shoot, I don't know if y'all can hear me, but like it works. I'm infinitely better now, and I'm just confident now when I speak. And that was something that took time, because yes, I did radio, yes, I did TV and all that stuff, but it took time to really perfect the craft of speaking, and that's honestly still a work in progress. So it's not perfect, but it got me to a point where I feel confident enough and I can, do my thing.
That's all good, man, because to be honest with you, we're all a work in progress. Now,
Every day we gotta get better.
Absolutely. Now, when you sat down with Jay Harris, there was a quote that he really said that stood out to me, and I want you to tell me how this makes you feel. There's so many modes of distribution right now. It's there. You can do it. But you don't forget the basics. If you can't write, if you can't tell a story, you can't convey information, and you're no good to me. How does that make you feel?
That hit me.
That hits, man. Nah,
Yeah.
that's the nail on the coffin, honestly, because no matter what year it becomes, writing is always going to be the key in this business. Radio, print, digital, social media, television. You got to be able to write. And for me, that's why I take pride in that print background, because I was able to write some 600-word articles, 1,000-word articles.
Bust them out.
It busts them out, man. And it's like, you get to a point where you're just like tired of writing. But now, you're writing a 20, 30-second script, and it's easy money. You can get creative with it.
Quickly.
You can style it up. You can spice it up. You can make everything tie together. The writing aspect is huge because you want your sportscast to make sense. You want your podcast to make sense. You still have to have format and structure in those things. So that's where the writing comes into play. And he talks about the different modes of distribution. YouTubers making millions of bucks out here now.
They are.
The outlets are there for anybody to make it. You do not have to be sitting behind a news desk to make it in this business anymore.
Absolutely not.
You can be right in front of a computer like all three of us are and make great content. And it's all about your effort and your consistency in pushing the content and finding new audiences, but targeting that audience that really is going to be your core. So don't try and jump around everywhere just out the bat. Come out with a specific target audience. Come out with a specific plan of how you want to broadcast or create your content, man. It's all there for the taking. It just takes time and reps to get it right.
Rod, I'm gonna swing it to you real quick. But Mitch, you said something real key right there in terms of specialty. Rod is really trying to find his niche, and so am I right now. How much would you really encourage us to pick a certain lane and just stay in it, whether it's being an investigative journalism or an NBA reporter, instead of
commentating or something?
A lot of people like to be a jack of all trades. What would you say is more important to do right now? Be a jack of all trades or pick a certain lane?
Oh, this is 2020, man. You know what? Being singularly great at one thing, 10 years ago was great. That was fine. But now in 2020, you got to be able to do everything, honestly. You got to be able to edit your own content. You got to be able to be in front of the camera. You got to be able to interview the people, do it all, and write it too. So I think being a jack of all trades, if your interests are in NBA, and you want to be an NBA beat reporter, you are set on doing that, then start blogging about it. I was so in love with the NBA. There was this article that's probably still out there. I had a blog. I did a couple of blog articles. I just love the passion of sports. And it was talking about football, talking about basketball. And it was one of those articles that you look back on, you're like, you did what you needed to do because it put you in a position to continue on that track to getting to the NBA. That's something that I love and would love to, work in that realm. But I encourage anybody to just kind of dabble in everything, because you never know where you could end up in New York. They've got all four pro sports leagues. They got baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer. You got to know a little bit of everything now. And, when someone asks you who is, Alex Ovechkin or who is Nicholas Backstrom, you got to know who those people are. because sports is always changing and everybody could be a story at any specific second.
That's true. Definitely true. Going back to that event at ODU, I couldn't make it. Bath and Body Works, they wouldn't let me take off that day. But I know my peers that did go to the event, they told me they were a good learning experience, a lot of good networking opportunities. So what's one good advice that you could just, on the top of your head, remember that somebody gave you, and who gave you that advice?
Let's see. Best advice, or one of the pieces of advice that sticks with me. Don't be afraid of no. I think not being afraid of no is something that I had to develop. But I'm a shot shooter, man, and I'm worrisome too. Like if I want something, I'm gonna email you. If we've corresponded, or if I know that email went through and you don't respond to me, and between 4 to 7
Back
days,
at it.
we gonna have to holler at each other, man. We're gonna have to talk, But persistence in knowing what you want, I think, plays a huge part in not being deterred by no's. Because like I told you, Rod, I had, my first reel coming out of school. Like I said, it was trash. And it took me about 10 revisions to get it right, to get an interview. And then I didn't even get that job. And then to keep going after that, right place, right time, I get the opportunity at WTKR to transition from a morning photographer for news to being a sports anchor on the weekends. And that's why I'll just continue to pound it. Persistence, preparation, never stop creating, and just being ready for the opportunity when it arises. Because it's going to come, but you're going to hear some no's before you get that yes.
That's true. 2 weeks ago, you posted a picture on your Instagram account, you signing your first on-air contract. You told me in the past that's something that you really struggled with in the beginning. So how did I feel like in that moment you finally did it and you signed that contract? What's going through your head?
Man, I'm like, dang, it's for real now, man. Like, it's
laced up.
You see it. I'm in a soccer jersey in there. Like, I'm in photographer gear, man. Like, you got to go out and get suits and ties and stuff like that. You're trying to experiment and find your style, man. I had baggy suits. They didn't even fit. The glow up's been real on that aspect. But I'll tell you what, just looking back on that moment, seeing the two dudes beside me, Ryan Minot and Skip Valet, they were the general manager and news director at the time. They believed in a 22-year-old to help rebuild their sports department because they had scratched the sports department and they started from fresh. And then Adam Winkler, the sports director there, he's coming from Austin, Texas, 12 years in the business. He sees something in me to say, you know what, Ryan, Skip, I want this guy on my team. It's a 2-person team. So he put a lot of trust in me. And over the years, just continue to keep the mentality every single day that I went in there that I can't let him down. I can't prove them wrong. They believe that I had the talent and potential. You really just have to keep proving them every single day. Never take it for granted. Never be comfortable.
Yeah, as journalists, there's all certain things that we all struggle with, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you struggle with early on in your journalism career?
Oh man, I had to go back to, like I said, the enunciation, finding a voice. We have a voice and we talk with a voice, but finding a voice for on air and TV and podcast and radio is much different than just talking with the homies, man. And really, the trick is finding a way to talk to people and your viewers as the homies. Like, I'm not saying, go out there and spit all the slang, Mo, and, I like, everything that we say in Nova. But just finding a way to be conversational about it was the hardest part for me, especially with the print background. You're used to typing a bunch of words. Less is more in television. So I really struggle with that, and I struggle with making connections and networking, and I've really grown in that aspect. But you have to take one thing at a time and kind of just really hone in on it. I took the voice and I honed in on that and started working on that. And then I took, my writing, started working on that. How can I be more creative and just not bland and plain? So just take one thing at a time, work on it. Don't beat yourself up. It's a process. It's a marathon.
Yeah, I know it's real tough when you say it's a process because, like, gradually we all want to be great so quickly.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, me and Rod talk about that all the time, and
Definitely.
we laugh and joke about different things. But what's one of the biggest mistakes you've made on air that you're just disappointed about?
I don't know, man. You know what? I think I take satisfaction in knowing that I've tried things, and throughout the 4 or 5 years that I've been on air, I've tried things. I've experimented with things. Remember when Steve Harvey, got the name wrong in Miss America? I remember trying to do something with that.
He capitalized on it so well.
Oh,
He
yeah.
This was crazy.
He got the bag, man. So you got to be able to laugh at yourself, man. Like, I tried something with that. I mean, that kind of worked. You get laughs, and sometimes you'll try things, and you got to remember who your viewer is for the news. Sometimes it's the middle-aged woman and mother who's at home, 5, 6 o'clock, or elderly people, or just people that are retired and at home and just watching the news. They don't understand everything that we understand. They don't know all the Drake, plays on words that we know and the pop culture references that we make. Like, it's levels to this with Meek Mill. They'll just be like, "What are you talking about?" So you got to find like that medium of trying to do all those things. But as far as like the biggest mistake, man, I think probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made was trying to remember an entire script.
When you say remember it, you mean like?
I mean, it was early on. I tried to like just just throw it all out there from verbatim, and you stumble on a word,
and that's it.
That's it. You lose your train of thought. You lose everything. So since that moment, I have dumbed it down for myself, and I use bullet points sometimes. Most of the time when I'm live now in Columbia, I'm not usually using a script, or I have a script in my hand. I know what I'm talking about. That's where it comes into play. Like when you don't want to be able to rely on a script. So if the script or the prompter goes away, or you're out live in the field, you got to be able to just kind of know what you're talking about and express that to the viewers. Because once that prompter goes away, or once that phone goes dark and locks, I mean, you're out there on an island.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mitch, a lot of people don't know how much of a toll mentally we deal with in this industry. From just like before to now, how has the mentality changed?
You have to have thick skin, first of all, to be in this business, because you're going to go to NABJs and conferences, and you're going to send your reel to people, and they're going to dissect it to a level that makes you just want to say, you know what? Maybe I should probably take that sales job or customer service job. Maybe I should take that instead of pursuing this. It sounds easier, man. But anything worth having is not going to come easy to you. So I realized that, and I feel like the biggest thing that I really had to realize was that you're just gonna have to roll with the punches in this business. You're gonna get nasty viewer emails. You're gonna get scathing feedback sometimes from managers, and you're not always gonna get along with everybody in the newsroom. Those things happen, but you always have to have your reputation intact. No matter where you go, you should leave a place with people knowing that you are a hard worker, that you were fun to work with, you were a team player, and that you always had a passion to do what you were doing. I left Norfolk with that. And in the newsroom, I left with people knowing they were going to be losing laughs. Like, all I like to do is make sure that the newsroom feels light. People are laughing, having a good time and joking and stuff like that, but also getting their stuff done and trying to be first and win and competitive. So, those are really the things that you just kind of have to grow into professionally and mentally. But again, you can't let anybody be a bigger critic of you than you. That's the biggest takeaway for that. Do not let anybody criticize you more than yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself when you're first starting out. Give yourself time to grow. And with the reps, like a quarterback, you will get better.
Speaking of newsrooms, you're a sports director now. You're not just managing one team, you're managing 4 teams. That's a lot of people.
Big salute on that.
Yeah, it is, man. And that was the challenge coming in was, okay, these people have been here for a while and they know this market way better than me. So how can I get them to be on the same team with me and understand the vision that I have for the department and what we do? Well, you listen to them. You can't come in just trying to, change things around. I don't like this. We should do this. We should do that. No, these, Matt Dowell and Mike Yuba are other anchors here in sports. They have been here for about 4 years apiece, and they both are well-known, well-respected in the community and across the state, and they have connections and a network and people that know them. So it was coming in, leaning on them, and listening to them about what works, what doesn't work, and, in time, we'll start making those gradual changes and improvements to make our team the best in the Midlands. And I just got to be real. I think we have the best team in the Midlands, and everybody does great work around here, but I got a lot of stock in my team. So I really enjoy working with them. It's been good so far. We've been on head since quarantine and the pandemic has started. We've been turning out some content that I'm really proud of, man.
Mitch, we know that you interviewed a lot of people throughout your career. What's your favorite interview?
Oh, man, I love this question. It's 2 answers for this, man. It's 2757 legends, Mike Vick, Allen Iverson. Got them both one-on-one, man. And
your chest has to be out to here when you get Mike Vick and AI. Like, you can say that.
And one-on-one. No,
that's a fact.
Seriously, man. No, it was, man, you know what? I love the 7-5. It's home too now. I lived there for like almost 10 years. But people looked out for me when I wanted, interviews like that. Like Allen, he's not going to just sit down with just.
Yeah, how did you get that? You got to break that down for us.
Step by step.
So Allen's manager and longtime confiding friend, Gary Moore, building a relationship with him, getting to know him and just being there whenever Allen has something going on, donating a court to his old Boys and Girls Club. Allen's doing the Round Ball Classic or his classic every year at Hampton Coliseum. Just making sure that I was at those events showing love to a pioneer and legend and really a Hall of Famer in every way, off the court, on the court, for Hampton Roads. And then same with Michael Vick. That one was, just making sure they've seen me. They went to the same Boys and Girls Club, grew up at the same Boys and Girls Club. So right there in Newport News, right after you get off Monitor Merrimack or you get off 64, it puts you right there at the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula. And, his team made sure I got him for, 5-10 minutes. And we made the most of that 5-10 minutes, man.
Yeah.
We talked about him being on Atlanta and his cameo there. Talked about him just, having a platform now to really just give back to his community and pour into it. So those two were just great. And then I interviewed Tony Dungy in January at the national championship. Tremendous man. And it was in a hotel lobby. It's kind of just, get it done and get it, secure it. Wasn't the greatest production, but it's still something that, got done, and it was a great interview, man.
That's crazy because Rob wanted to talk to AI about you, and I want to talk about Tony Dungy with you. So, Rob, you can go first. The one thing I'm going to say, me going to Hampton, I know Mike Vick, AI, those two guys there, superstars, especially during my time working at Boo Williams. That's all they talk about is AI. So,
it's a legend, go ahead.
Man. Yeah.
Definitely. How much would you say Allen Iverson has shifted the NBA culture, in your opinion?
Oh, it's all, if you look at the influence, you talk about Kobe's and Jordan's and LeBron's, AI's influence, you see it all over the court. Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas. You look at Chris Paul even. I mean, those guys model it. They've said it before. They have taken things from AI. That guy was a beast. Not, like I said, not only on the court, but just the way he changed and influenced things off the court. The braids.
Yeah,
A lot of these dudes
definitely.
had braids in middle school and high school. Kawhi
Yeah.
Leonard, I mean, he might have had those for a while, and he has, but I mean, braids were the hot thing. You wanted to have those back in 2000, 2001. I tried to grow them. My hair won't built
For
for
real?
that, bro. It was not built for that, man. It looked like a Brillo pad, but honestly,
I'm waiting.
I mean, seriously, bro, it was, such an influential time in 2000, 2001. Obviously, after 2001 in the three-peat for the Lakers, Kobe's influence became even more iconic than what it was. But Allen Iverson, man, that jersey, if you didn't have an Allen Iverson jersey back when I was growing up, come on, man.
Wait, which one
Wasn't
did you
tuned
get?
in.
Did you get the black one, the white one?
The black.
Okay.
I had the white
I
one.
don't
I had
need
the
any
gray
other
one.
options. That black or the Fila one.
Okay, yeah, the Fila one.
Yeah.
What were you most surprised about, from your conversation with Iverson? Like, what really stood out to you most when you sat down and really just spoke to him?
How gracious he was. And I actually interviewed him twice because he did a Christmas giveaway one time. And just, I mean, listen to all the things I'm saying that he did in the community. Like, he had a Christmas giveaway and gave hundreds of toys away to kids in his community, in his neighborhood. But this was one thing that stood out to me. Before that happened, I believe it was Kobe's final time in Philadelphia, maybe. Or it was, it was something around that time. But anyways, he had on a shirt. He meets up with Kobe at the game. It was his final run. And he has the shirt of Kobe with the championships, the one that they beat the 76ers to win.
Right.
He has that shirt on. Allen Iverson does. And I asked him, why did you wear that shirt? He said, to pay homage to a legend, to a great. Allen Iverson, out of, I believe, any other retired NBA player, has shown more love to every dude that plays the game currently or played before him or with him. He has shown so much love. And I remember that because, obviously, we lost Kobe this year. Rest in peace, Kobe.
Definitely.
But it broke him down because that guy meant so much to him at that same time. He looked up to him. He admired what he did on the court and for the game. And, he was forever gracious for the moments that they shared together and the friendship that they had. And that was really special to me. And it's something that when Kobe passed, popped back into my head, that he told me why he wore that shirt of a guy that beat him, and he's an ultimate competitor. I mean, that story really just sticks with me, and it's hitting me a little bit right now too, just to think about that.
I mean,
Yeah,
go ahead,
my
Rob.
fault, Rob. The one thing that like our industry and sports that we have in common is the mentorship. That's just crazy. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I think that I get scared sometimes when I think about how Allen Iverson got into that brawl before he went to Georgetown. And I think about how we almost were robbed of him not going to college. Like, his mom talked to George Thompson, I believe, and you have to take my son. Please give my son a shot. If AI doesn't play in the NBA, I'm not gonna say that NBA isn't gonna be what it is, but that's a major figure that we lose in the basketball world. So when I found out that you interviewed him, me and Rob were talking about, we have to talk to him about this. So
Man,
yeah,
and I got
to AI, favorite player of all time for me. He took a lot of shots like Kobe, but
he had to though.
He did, but he was a volume shooter, bro.
He really was.
40 points. He put up 40 shots.
He really did. And you know what? It really, back then, if you were a volume shooter, that was probably the best thing to be.
That was okay.
Y'all was scoring probably like 60, 70 points, 80 points tops in a game back then. I mean, scores were like 76, 72 in the finals. So, I mean, shoot, you had to will your teams to win. But nah, really what he did, man, and just the way, man, I just really can't get over just how positive and appreciative he was of guys like Steph Curry. He talked about LeBron opening up the school with me. Steph Curry doing what he does off the court, and guys like that just giving back, man. Just to hear him talk about those guys and show love like a proud uncle, shoot, man, that means the world to me as an NBA head.
I hear that 100%, bro.
Definitely. You mentioned Tony Dungy. That's a Pro Hall of Famer right there, head coach.
Yes,
He's no joke. He also has a lot of knowledge throughout his career. You interviewed him. What did you take from that interview? Like any life lessons?
Yeah, he was brought in, and we broke that story that day. He was brought in to be the chaplain for Clemson to pray before they went and went to the stadium, the Superdome.
Oh.
And it was awesome to just hear him talk about him the day of the Super Bowl, getting his players' nerves calm. And I asked him, what would you need to do, or what would you say if you were leading these young men in the battle tonight? And he says, take a deep breath. Like, sometimes it's just as simple as that. Like, you're in high pressure situations, you get nervous, but this is what you trained to do. You've dreamed of this moment. Embrace it, soak it in, experience every moment, cherish every moment, but don't let the nerves win, because you've trained for this. You've done these things. You've got God by your side. So let him go into battle with you, and, do the best that you can do, be the best that you can be. And that's all you can ask for. Sometimes you're going to take an L. Sometimes you're going to get a win. But the one thing that you can always do is control your effort, and never quit, man. And so things like that Tony Dungy just dropped on me in like a 5-minute interview, I was like, man, this dude right here. I mean, we don't deserve Tony Dungy, man. So we got to give him his flowers while he's here. Just a tremendous man, and a man of God too. So just really, really appreciative that he gave me the time for that.
And when you're interviewing people like that and just like getting ready for your shows, would you rather be mentally prepared and not rested, or rested but not really mentally prepared for things like that?
Man, sometimes some of my best work is tired, like dog tired at the end of the night. National championship, we stayed for 5 o'clock live shots in the morning. And we're in the stadium. We're the only ones in the stadium. And we're reeling off these live shots. Keep in mind, we've been up since 8 a.m. that day before. And that's when some of your best work comes out. Whereas the 5 p.m. live shot, ahead of the game, you're a little nervous, a little antsy, because you start seeing the players come and the fans are coming in and the atmosphere. This is the national championship.
Yeah.
And it was my first experience of that. And Matt's just beside me. He's like, dude, come on. He's been covering Clemson. He's been our Clemson guy for a while. He's been covering them. So he's been to those national championships since 2016. But no, it really, sometimes you get that best work in when you're not, over preparing and over reading your script. That's when you're at your best, man. And like I said, those 30-minute talk shows that we do each night at 11, those have no scripts. It's just unscripted. We're up there talking. You have your rundown. You got to lead into the video and to the sound and go from there, man. And have a good discussion.
That's crazy.
Yeah, me and Rob were talking a little bit earlier, and we really made this for the media. So what's the toughest part for you coming out of undergrad, and maybe even still now, of creating packages?
Not procrastinating, because
we can all agree with that.
Like, as people come up in the business and, Rod, you're about to embark on this journey and get your first job. Same for you soon, Rob, is that you will be under deadline. And when you get the hang of it, and you know your editing system, you have your script, you know what you're going to say. Sometimes pulling up Microsoft Word or your email to type your script is the toughest part of it all, man. And just saying, you know what, I'm going to focus. I've got 3 hours. All right, let me get it done in 1.5. No, not me. I love to go up until the last minute. I double check it, triple check it, man. But best believe it's going to get done.
Oh, absolutely.
You got to make slot. Like, no matter what, I could be tying my tie with 2 seconds to go before the show airs. Just know we'll be fine when it comes to me on the screen. Like, just make slot, That's the biggest thing. But it is challenging sometimes to focus, especially when you got so much going on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a question for you. My fault, Rob.
Yeah.
When you start your packages, do you like to start them off with sound bites or natural sound?
Oh man, I'm big on that sound, man. I'm a photographer, man, like at heart. So to me, the story is all about telling it through the lens of the camera. That's why we're on TV, and through the lens of the subject. I don't need to talk so much. Sometimes there will be video poor stories, and your writing really has to carry it. But if you are out on a football field, you better give me about 3-4 nat sound pops.
Absolutely.
If you're on a basketball court, you better give me tight shots and cutaways where you put the tight shot to match with the medium shot. Like you just really have to get visual with it and just find different shots, man, because nobody wants to watch the same wide shots, for the entire story. Give me visuals and give me compelling sounds. And I always write to my sound. I don't write my script until I listen to my sound. Sometimes I know what I'm going to say, but in order to put it in the order and give the beginning, the reveal of the story, and then the finish and the resolution, you have to listen to the sound to bring it all together.
It's like your words finish painting the picture.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right, man. And that's where it really becomes beautiful, because you're listening and you're letting them tell the story. You're just the arm rest that they're placing their arm on, honestly.
In a recent package, we saw that you did a story on a mother named Harriet Watkins, a daughter.
Okay, y'all did y'all research, man.
Man, we did. That was just a really dope piece. We just want to know how you got connected with her and how did that impact you, because her daughter took on, the characteristics of being fearless. Her mom is so enthusiastic about basketball now, and it's all for her daughter. So how did that really impact you?
I approached one of my good friends here in the area, and he's well connected. And I told him, I said, Mother's Day is coming up, and obviously we're in a place where that week leading up, there wasn't much going on. Like, how can we fill 3 minutes at night, and keep it towards sports? So I said, okay, let's honor some mothers in this area that have sons or daughters in sports, and how they have sacrificed to make sure that they can get to their level, or the level that they want. And the Watkins, Miss Harriet Watkins, her story is incredible. Like you said, a single mother of 3, and have one of the top prospects in the class of 2022. And she's dunking in games. That girl Ashlyn Watkins has dunked in games. So you'll be hearing her name a lot in the next year or so. But just to hear her and get connected with her through my good friend was just huge, because he was able to not only highlight mothers, but mothers that have went through above and hoops and loops to make sure their kids get to where they are. So that was really cool to do. And they loved it. Miss Caldwell loved the story. Miss Watkins loved the story. And I was just glad I could do something to honor mothers in the area at a time where there's just not much going on.
Definitely, man.
That story was real good. Me and Rod, I really like that a lot. How tall is
Really?
her? She's like what, 6'2", 6'3"?
About 6'1", 6'2", I want to say. She's taller than me, so I'm 6 foot. So that's to kind of give you a range. But again, she's dunking in games, and I was at the state championship game where I finally got to see her back in March in person, and there was a breakaway, and they threw it up to her, and everybody stood up in the gym. She didn't dunk because somebody came and tried to contest, but everybody stood up, and as she gets stronger, it's gonna get scary, man. I think she's gonna be piping on people.
You know what?
Definitely got a bright future.
Yeah, they have. I believe she was a freshman this year that went to Stanford. She wears the goggles.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
She was yamming, man.
Yeah, she's the same height. It's like 6'1", 6 feet maybe, and she was throwing it too.
Yeah, she could throw down. I saw her. Like, look, I'm a huge advocate after watching this first season, going through the first season with South Carolina. Don Staley, the legend here. And then you have, this Zaya Cook, a girl that went viral for crossing a girl up and pointing at her. Everybody remembers that video. She crossed her up, points at her, then hits the shot.
Isn't she? Where's she from?
She's from Ohio. So now she's down here at South Carolina. Just finished her freshman year. Was SEC All-Rookie. This team was the #1 recruiting class. So I was able to really see women's sports and women's basketball from a different perspective now. And I got to say, man, it's just a great product. And women's college basketball and the WNBA, the boom is about to happen. So get on now. Pick your favorite team. Pick your favorite college WNBA team. Pick your favorite players. Get on now, because what's about to come through, the high school ranks and now through the they're getting stronger. They're getting faster. They're dunking more. That's people love to see dunks. But, again, the product is just clean, man. So I really implore anybody this upcoming season, tap in with women's college basketball. You will not be disappointed.
And that's the one thing that Kobe saw that a lot of people didn't really see at first, the future of the women's game. Crazy.
The Mamba, man, he knows.
That hurts, man. It hurts to see the transition of that. But, everything happens for a reason. We can't really question or justify why things happen the way they do. So.
Absolutely.
That's true. That's true.
But, Mitch, listen, man, we really, really appreciate you for sitting down with us. First episode with Rob and Rod. And thanks for the words of wisdom. We appreciate you, sitting down with us. And we got to stay connected, man. And we're looking
for sure, man.
I
appreciate you guys, man. And, Rob, Rod, like I said, you guys are going on this journey, man. So I'm always going to relate with dudes that, are going through the same journey that I went through. And like I said to you both, it's a marathon. To everybody out there, it's a marathon. If you ever need anything, need a piece of advice or some wisdom or something or some help trying to, get ready for an interview, whatever it is, hit me up. We'll make it happen, because we need to see more, Black people in newsrooms. We need to see more Black people in, coming up in school, trying to do things behind the camera as well. Not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera, there is power as well. There's power in producers, there's power in photographers. And we need to see more, Black media executives too. So, power behind the camera is not just being a producer of that. It's eventually being an executive, a manager, and things of that sort. So again, I just implore anybody that's listening to do those things and continue on the marathon. And again, I appreciate you guys, man, for letting me ramble on here.
Absolutely. Big respect to Mitch Brown, Rob, Rod, For Life Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in.
For life.
Underrated, was told to believe if you're not a scholar, get a dish. A boy like you in the league, only way that people paying. I started believing that I was one that wouldn't make it. That gave me more reason to question pictures people painted. I stopped giving a fuck.